Well, here we are at Continental Lane. I thought I would take a walk up Continental Lane through our property today just to show anybody that might be interested what it looks like. It's late August, 28th of August, a little after 4 in the afternoon. I wouldn't expect to see much wildlife. The only wildlife we've seen so far anyway are deer and turkeys and squirrels. But this is bear country, so I've got my bear spray with me. So here we go, walking up Continental Lane. That street sign is in the way for them to bring in the tiny home, I'm afraid. So we're gonna have to move it to the other side of the street. But anyway, here we go. It's not much of a road, Continental Lane. You can see we've got tracks on the sides where we've been driving back and forth. The middle is still pretty weed covered. There was a gate here. There still is a gate here. It's just not up. The owner of the land, the various parcels up here, must have taken it down to make it easier to get in and out. We'll probably put a gate at the entrance to our driveway. It's about a quarter of a mile up Continental Lane before you get to our property. As you see, there's lots of trees. This is a fully wooded area. Son Keith's land has his 20 acres. We share a property line. Our north property line is the western half of his south property line. So his land is about 10 acres in field and 10 acres in woods. Probably heard that car go by. That's Idaho, Idaho Highway 1. It goes up to Port Hill to the border crossing. The Port Hill entry port is only open from 7 in the morning to 5 in the evening. So we don't get a lot of traffic through here. It's just mostly people that live here. Anyway, Keith's land, like I said, half forest and half field. Ours is completely forested. We have a forester coming to evaluate the land for suitability to receive the forest land tax exemption. This land was logged some time ago. I heard various estimates between 7 and 10 years ago. And so there's a lot of brush, a lot of small trees, a few large trees that were probably smaller trees back then. This Continental Lane goes up and down a few hills. Tall ponderosas in the distance there. I'll pan up so you can see those. We have a mixture of different fir trees, ponderosas, tamaracks. I'm not sure what else. I hope the forester will tell me all that. This is what Mary and I have come to call pine cone flats. It's not flat, but there are lots of pine cones. It's always been interesting to us that there are places, mostly lower down, where lots of brush have grown up in the middle of the road, and now we're here where there's hardly any at all. Now coming up here is the area that I'm a little bit worried about. There's a hill and a dip and a hill. And I've got to measure it, I guess, because I worry that when they bring in the 30-foot long tiny home, it might hit on the front or the back or both. So it's been suggested that we bring in some large gravel and fill in this bottom part of this, raise it up a bit, even it out so it's not such a steep gradient. Now over here on the right is an electrical box. So in theory, we could patch into this and get electricity. It's pretty expensive, about $5,000. And I think it's $750 for a initial license or initial application, and $5,000 fee. Then you have to have a trenching done for the conduit to bring the electricity in. The power company charges $11 a foot, but you can do it with your own excavator. Here's the corner of our property. So now we're on our property. Our property actually extends over on the other side of this road, but of course the road is an easement. So anybody that buys into the land further north than us will be able to use it. And coming up is our driveway. 2 weeks ago, this driveway was just a crudely scooped out, bouncy, narrow drive. Last week, Dan, our excavator, smoothed it all out, widened it a bit, filled in holes and dips, and so now we're ready to put some gravel down. That probably won't happen until a week after next. Dan won't be available till then. But now it's broad, smooth, much more drivable. He did a great job. Lots of slash piles where the previous clearing left a bunch of trash. Plan is to burn that in the winter when there's snow on the ground. So Dan has cleared this all out. Got rid of a bunch of small trees that were blocking views. Widened it considerably. Now we're coming up to what we've been calling Lone Pine Circle, although that's not a pine, that's a tamarack. But somehow Lone Tamarack Circle just doesn't sound right. So here's the circle, which Dan also widened. It was pretty tight, hard to get any decent sized vehicle turned around up here. That's new slash pile created by Dan. The current thinking is that we would put the tiny home over on this side. It's the east side of the circle. We'll open up an area. It'll go back about 40 feet into the forest, clear that all out, maybe keep some of the tall trees, and put the tiny home in there. And then on the north side of the circle, over here, we're thinking might have a parking area with a carport or pole barn or whatever you want to call it, to put the RV and the car in, with a workshop and a shed to keep tools and things in. And also somewhere up there in that direction, we might have a cabin site. I scouted out a few. And then probably down here, there's an area down here where there's a fairly large opening to the sky. Let me get down there and then I point back south. As you can see, that's fairly wide open. We might have to take down a few trees, but we're thinking this might be a good place for our solar down in this area. And then we have this really awesome ridge here. Which I'm thinking ought to be fun for any grandkids to come and play on, young grandkids or great grandkids. And that goes all the way down to Continental Lane. And it's all our property. And our property extends for another, 400 feet or so in that direction. But it's all like this, wooded, undergrowth. As time goes on, we're thinking we might have built campsites for family to come and stay in, and paths going back and forth between them, that kind of thing. So that's a tour of Continental Drive and Mary and Stan's excellent adventure property.